Alright. It's a video about story time in jail, essentially. Uh, about how my interactions with the people were. I'm editing some videos right now. I realize the video I recorded of this is not the best, so I'm re-recording it right now. But yeah, there's a story I want to talk about while I was in jail in El Salvador. And I've already discussed the logistics of jail. So you guys probably are aware there's a jail cells for guys, three of them, sendo uno, sendo dos, y sendo tres, with a main gate that opens up to a hallway that you can walk into now and go to the iron gates of sendo tres, sendo dos, or sendo uno, whichever cell you want to go into. And adjacent to this hallway or room, right, is the hallway or room for Sendo Cuatro. Sendo Cuatro is the jail cell for women, and it's directly adjacent with Sendo Tres. There's just a main gate and a concrete wall that divides us, so we can't see them. We can't really hear them either. We have to shout out through the main gate and then hope that our shouts can travel throughout the main gate and then back into the women's main gate, and then hopefully we can interact with them that way. But Senda Tres is the only one that is directly adjacent to it. Senda Tres is in between Senda Cuatro and Senda Dos, obviously. It's it makes sense given the numbering. And at times we would have a cool guard on duty. This guard, maybe I'll share another story about him, but he was cool enough to leave the main gate open so that the air conditioning would flow into the hallway or into the room of Sendo Uno, Sendo Dos, Sendo Tres, and obviously Sendo Tres is the one directly in front of the main gate, so we would be the one catching most of that air conditioning draft. And then you can also imagine it's the easiest for people in Sendo Tres to be able to talk with people in Sendo Cuatro because we're right in front of the main gate, and then Sendo Cuatro is right in front of their main gate. So it's kind of like this setup, right? Like this is Sendo Tres, this is Sendo Cuatro, and then there's a main gate here, and then we can shout out, and then it hopefully comes back, and it goes like this, sort of thing. And when we would have this cool guard doing the night shift, not only would we get the benefits of the air conditioning draft coming in and the jail cell not being as hot, but we would also be able to talk with the people in Sendo Cuatro, right? That was a little special thing about jail, right? When you're in jail, you're around no woman, and vice versa for the woman. You're around no men, obviously, because you should be having no pleasure while you're in jail. You should not be having fun, and for the sake of health and safety, nobody should be getting pregnant while they're in jail. So that was a luxury, a privilege for all of us in Bartolinas, the jail cell in El Salvador, or the holding place, before you get sent off to prison or released. So we took advantage of that, right? We would shout out to these women and in hopes that we'd be able to have some sort of conversation, some sort of interaction with them. There was one person in Sendo Dos. He was a Mexican foreigner, and he had interacted with me a few times before, and the first time wasn't bad at all. He was kind of just oh, you speak English, where are you from? I lived in New York. And I would reply oh, that's cool, I used to live in New York too, blah blah blah, I'm from LA, I live in San Francisco, sort of thing, and we kind of, yeah, that was it. That was the most of it. But then eventually, like, um, that relationship kind of soured, and I think it soured because this guy, the Mexican, would always shout out to the woman in Santa Cuatro. Always be like Carla, or Mayra, or there was a girl from Colombia, and then even like a new girl. I don't think she was Asian, but he'd call out Chinita. Um, yeah, I don't think she was Asian. I saw her, but I think she may have been a foreigner. Um, she had long hair. Her skin was a little bit um, more pale, but I don't think she was Asian. I saw her. Um, yeah, and so this guy would be the kind of guy that like set off the like, all right, like it's now time to like be interacting with each other, like and just be shouting. Um, and the woman would, sometimes be receptive, but other times they'd be like, "¿Qué pasó?" Like, what the fuck do you want? Like, what do you want? Kind of just like, why are you bugging us? And then he'd confess his love, right? Like I love you, te amo mucho, and like sing songs with them, right? He'd get other people in his jail cell to like sing with him, like in a choir, not a choir, but like a group, right? And obviously, like the women like that attention while you're in jail. Like you just want any sort of attention, you want any sort of entertainment, help the time go by. So he was kind of known for starting these interactions, and like um, everyone would kind of listen in, and like just kind of live vicariously and like laugh along with it, right, with whatever he was saying or whatever they were saying. But eventually, like um, the woman wanted to talk with me, and probably because like I have long hair, so I'd always be at the iron gates. And when the cool guard was on duty, he would let the woman inmates um, help out clean up the office, right? And cleaning up the office is way better than just sitting in a jail cell. Like you get to walk around in an air conditioned office. You get to walk around without like an iron gate in front of you. So it's just awesome. And when they would walk by from their jail cell, because their jail cell is the one most in the corner, and then um, they'd have to walk through the hallway to get to the office. And when you walk through the hallway, you're going to pass by the hallway entry for Senda 3, Senda 2, and Senda 1. And I'd always be at the iron gate with my shirt off because it's just so hot, and I'd just be hoping to catch some of that air conditioning draft. And because of that, like, they probably saw I was pretty lean. They could see like my V line, my abs, and obviously like I have really long hair. My hair is actually really nice, regardless of whatever gender I am. It's actually, on average, I have better hair than most women do. It's just more, it's finer, it's softer, it's straighter, and sometimes longer. So that definitely caught their eyes, and I'm sure when whoever was helping out, volunteering, cleaning the office, when they got back, they'd like chit chat and be like, "Oh, there's like some chino with like really nice hair, and whatever. He's got a nice tan or whatever." So eventually they would start calling out to me and be like, "Quiero hablar con Chino." And with that, like, I wasn't really looking to make friends. I don't really speak the language well. Like, I already have a girlfriend, like, but just to, like, do it for the boys, right? So that the boys in Senda 3 have, like, some entertainment. I'd go up to the Iron Gate and, like, speak with them. At first, it was just them, like, sizing me up, just being like, "Oh, like, what's your case? Like, what are you in for? What are you charged with?" And I'd let them know, like, international illicit trafficking, and they'd be like, "Oh, um, that was like the most of it. Just kind of like seeing who I was, and then they'd ask like, "Do you live here? Like, what were you doing? Like, how'd they catch you? Are you did the dogs catch you?" And I'd explain like, no, I was just had a connecting flight, and there was like a security checkpoint like at the gate that I was connecting into, and let them know like, yeah, I was traveling to Colombia, Bogota, like was my final destination, and that was kind of like them just kind of figuring out who I was, why I was there, but eventually like this guy from Senados didn't take kindly to me having the attention of the woman, and then afterwards, like the day after this interaction, that guy was like, he like called out to me and like wanted to talk to me and be like, you know, the girl you were talking to, Carla, like she left this morning. And I was like, why are you telling me, dude? Like, I don't know if it's to be informative or if it's to be like, hey, like the girl that's interested in you, like she's gone, like so don't worry about it anymore. Like your chances are over with her. And I was just like, whatever, dude. Like I'm not very like I don't really care to begin with, and I'm getting like a weird vibe from you now that you're kind of like jealous. So like I'm gonna note that. And then like eventually, I should note this, right? Just a side story. Like we had more people come into the jail cell. One of them happened to be a trans woman, and she first was sent into the women's jail, but then I don't know, maybe the guards were like, this person's a guy, like he shouldn't be in here, and Nicole is her name. Nicole came into Senate Tres, and I got along with her really well, being from San Francisco and being a foreigner being a foreigner in jail. Like I just realized like, damn, she must feel exactly the same way, even worse than I do, or even more isolated than I do. You know, that like I can speak a little bit of Spanish and like I can get along with guys like fairly well, but you know, there's weirdos in here like trying to watch her shower and stuff, and I was like, damn, she must like really feel out of place and just like not feel safe or comfortable here. So we got along really well. We had a lot of chats, like just us two in the corner when other people would be like not giving her the time or whatever, unless they wanted something out of it, right, to like watch her shower or whatever. And from that, like, I don't know, some of the guys were like, hey, are you gay too or something? Like, why are you chatting with her? And I'm like, I'm not gay, but, you know, like, probably like a little bit bisexual. Like, I can look at a guy and know he's like handsome. Like, that's something I've always had. Like, I've always been able to be like, oh, David Beckham, like, super handsome guy. Oh, Matt Damon, super handsome guy. Like, you know, but like, that's the extent of it. So I just being honest with myself, like, there's probably something there. And these guys thought it was so funny, like, oh, Gino's a little bisexual. Gino's bisexual. I don't want to sleep next to him. And I'd be like, relax, man. Like, you're far away from like what I think is attractive in a guy. You know, like what I think a guy should like strive to look like. And so I shut him up with that, just being like, dude, like, if you want to play this game, like, I'm gonna make you feel like shit. Like, let you know, like, nobody wants to be around you, like that wants to be around a guy, you know. So yeah, that happened, but that's a side story, and I explained that because then this Mexican guy from Senados brought this up, because when the guy, well, on another night when the woman wanted to talk with me and he initiated it, right, being like, Mayra, Chinita, whatever, Colombia, the woman would be like, quiero hablar con Chino. And then, like, he would be like, you know he's bisexual? And I would be like, who the fuck cares, man? Like, are you worried about it? You think I don't want to be with you? Like, I don't think they care. And then the woman would be like, we don't care. So that shut him up for the rest of the night, just being like, trying to like get a little sucker punch in, but just it being completely irrelevant. But from that, me hearing that really pissed me off, just being like, dude, what's your problem? Like, I'm not trying to talk to them. Like, you see that they're trying to initiate it with me. Like, obviously your jealousy and your insecurity is like flaring up super bad right now, and you feel like you have to take whatever course of action to like bring the attention back to you. um, that made me want to be like, all right, let's make this competitive now, you know, like I was doing this for the sake of providing entertainment for the guys around me and send the threats. But now, like, I'm gonna just one up everything you do. Like, I'm gonna make sure like these girls just like don't have any interest in you. And one of the things like he was talking about was like, oh, like come to Mexico, like I'll show you around. And then I was like, oh, don't go to Mexico with him. Like, don't go to his boring ass like shitty little hometown. Like, come with me. Like, we'll go to Puerto Vallarta, we'll go to Culican, we'll go to Cabo, like whatever. Like, I know the places. Like, and I'm well versed in Mexico. We don't need to go to some shitty little Puebla with nothing to do, you know, other than drink beer in front of his house. Like, fuck that. So then my friend in Send a Threats would be in like a Mortal Kombat fighting game voice would be like, ooh, Chino Puente Uno, Sendo Dos Zero, and that like translates to, oh, Chinese guy 1 point, Sendo Dos 0 points. And everyone thought that was really funny, and you know, then the conversations just started flowing more naturally, like just being like, oh, okay, like for sure, like where else have you been? Like, I want to go visit China. And I was like, I don't want to go to China. Like, nah, that's not, that doesn't sound fun at all. And this was from Chinita. So afterwards she was like, okay, like I also want to go to Thailand. And I'm like, that's better. Like, we can start the conversation with that. You know, weed's legal there. It's a little bit more like Latin America. It's like more chill, more welcoming. That's more fitting. And yeah, she then like asked for my info, and I was like, I got Instagram. Like, if you want to like, you know, set it up. And she was like, oh, hey, give me a minute. And like, I guess she's scrambling to find like a toothbrush to like carve into like a styrofoam plate what I was gonna say. And I let her know my handle, Instagram handle. It was like JU666TIN. And I'm sure the guy in Senados is also writing this shit down too. And she was like, okay, cool, like I got it. And I was like, okay, when do you get out? Like, when should we set this up? And she's like, write me in 4 to 6 weeks. And I was like, oh fuck, what the hell? Like, that's I'm hopefully like out of here by then, you know. But I was like, yeah, okay, for sure, I got you. And yeah, that was another one where my friend was like, ooh, Chino Puente Dos, Sendo Dos Zero. Again, translated into Chinese guy 2 points, Sendo Dos 0 points. And yeah, she then asked me like if I wanted to smoke. She realized like, oh, like, well, they took your weed from you while you were at the airport too. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, do you want to smoke right now? And I was like, I didn't know if they were listening in, like the guards were listening in and they were going to use this, because I hadn't been to court yet. I didn't know if they were going to use this against me in court. So I was like, no, like I'm a changed man. But I definitely did want to smoke, you know? And she was like, damn, like I want to smoke right now. Like, this shit sucks. And I let her know, like, man, I got the best weed that you can find in like all of El Salvador, and the like police know it too, like, because it's just how dank it smells. Me being from the Bay Area, you know, like it's pretty easy to come across some like fire ass weed if you know the right people, and if you've been smoking as long as I have, like definitely have found a plug that, you know, just has super dank weed. So she liked that as well. And then afterwards I was just kind of like, okay, like, all right, we'll set this up. I'll set wherever we go. I'll make sure we have weed. If we're in Colombia, like I know hash makers. Like we'll have fire ass, super dank, super terpy ass hash. Don't worry, I got us covered. And she was like, ooh, okay, like can't wait. And then I like just kind of ended it there, and I was like, all right, Chinita, sueños dulce, meaning like, all right, Chinese girl, like sweet dreams, te quiero mucho, like I love you, essentially. But that was just me doing it because like I knew the boys would want me to say something like that, because like hopefully she's gonna say it back, and she was like, te quiero mucho también. And um yeah, that was when when my friend was like, ooh, Chino, punto tres, cero dos, zero. Again, translated into, oh, Chinese guy, 3 points, cero dos, 0 points. And yeah, that was the end of that night. That was a real funny night, that the guys got to kind of like live vicariously through me and be able to like be like, oh man, like talking to a woman, like I missed that. So it was a good time for everybody except for the guy in Sendados, but that guy had it coming in when he was like just trying to take some cheap shots at me. But eventually, the next day or two, people were sent out to prison, right, to make room for in the jail cell, and there were maybe three women that got sent out from Bartolinas to prison, and Chinito was one of them. She had super long hair and she had braids on one side and braids on the other side, and she was super pretty. I was into her. I think like outside of jail, like she'd catch my eye as well. And I just remember knowing like that's Chinita. Like I know for sure that's her. And I just waved at her and she like waved back, with like her little bag of like personal items and stuff, and handcuffed. And then behind her was Colombia, and she was like, it's you that we were talking to. And I was like, in my head, I was like, damn well it was me. Like, I've seen you walk back and forth in the hallway before. Like, don't act like it's a surprise now. But yeah, I was like, yeah, it was me. And I was like, good luck with everything. Like, be safe. Which is essentially, bien afortunado, cuídate, is what I said to her. Because, she's getting sent off to somewhere that's a little bit more hardcore, a little bit more hard. So yeah, that was kind of the end of it. It was kind of a bittersweet way of actually connecting, after all those interactions, being able to see them, being able to make eye contact and like wave and have a conversation, like where before we don't try to do that so that the guards don't take away that privilege, right? But this being the last time, like we just kind of said our goodbyes and stuff. So yeah, that was my story time in jail of me being the favorite of the woman in Senda Cuatro and me pissing off the popular guy in Senda Dos. I hope you guys enjoyed that.